Oh, there you are. How's it going?
Good, John. How are you?
Real good. You're in New York?
I am. Come on in. Oh, hang on.
Okay, here we go. Here we go.
Okay.
All right, David, you have a new album out, a new single, Lying to Myself. How does it feel to be back in the limelight again?
Well, it feels awful good, John. I'd be lying to you if I told you it didn't feel great not to be met with indifference, that people not only still remember, but that there is that much interest in it and that the record is a big hit. So I'm really happy. I mean, I wrote not only the single, but the better
Most
part
of
of
the
the
album.
Yeah, which has just been out a little over a week now, and it's going great. I've been on a I've been on a mammoth 60-day and then some promotion tour, and it's been great. It's been really exciting. I've felt over the last couple of years an awful lot of interest from people that would just come up to me at random and ask me when I'm going to make another record again, and it's just great that it's been received as well as it has, and that it's doing so well.
Did you have any apprehensions going into this tour? Like, oh, what am I going to have to deal with? What kind of questions are these people going to be asking me?
Yeah, in fact, I had apprehensions, and it's lived up to all of my greatest fears.
Really?
Well, I mean, I'm being facetious a little bit about it. I don't care. I mean, honestly, I have a good feeling. What can people say about me? What can people do to me? I think that I just don't perceive. I have nothing to be ashamed or embarrassed about being that successful and having created that much, I guess, of a sensation when I last was in it. I maintained a sense of integrity about my work. There's not a lot of stuff that you could bring out and pull out of the closet and have me go, oh.
Except maybe the outfits.
The style. Okay, I'll give you that. I'll give you that, John. You're right. You're right. The maroon crushed velvet thing didn't send me. Okay, and remember, those weren't my outfits.
That's right.
Keith wore those, but David didn't. So yeah, I mean, the character that I created on the show, the interesting thing about it is that I must have been naive because I really never thought people would perceive me as that guy, and consequently I loved creating this sort of fluff airhead guy. I thought the sort of male bimbo, if you'll have him. In a way, it played very well against what Susan Day was doing, being the very sort of dedicated, serious one who was. She was always constantly, chest pounding into her causes, and it was a great balance between the two of us. So it worked. I just didn't think people would think, well, that's David Cassidy. And in fact, I was an actor who had done probably 10 leads and guest shots before I did that pilot, and I'd done a Broadway show, and had worked with the LA Theater Company. I was really serious about my work. Very difficult after that when you become, on the covers of magazines, teen magazines, bubblegum cards, comic books, lunch boxes, and on the back of cereal boxes. Tough to take a guy like that real seriously. I know I couldn't either. So it was the best thing I ever did for myself, both personally and professionally, was to leave. And I'm glad I did. In 1975, I did a world tour that I ended up in England, and that was it. I think that I sort of closed the chapter and closed the book on that whole part of my life.
Do you feel like you're in your element now?
Oh yeah, definitely. Right here with you this morning. I feel better about my life in general, and specifically about my career, because it's been one that has taken a lot of, I guess, lumps, and it's been hard fought. The credibility. I think people, when you have the kind of success I had, wanted to write me off. I think that I genuinely have come back as a result of my talent, as opposed to a phenomenon or being on a being lucky on a hit series or something. I've stayed out of television. I've worked in the theater and worked on my craft. And as a songwriter, I have a song on the new Asia album. I have a song that's going on the next Cher album. So it's great. I think that that's how my record career, I think, has rekindled itself as a result of that, and people becoming aware of my songs.
All right, you're embarking on a new career per se, say a new chapter in your career.
Yeah, it's the same career. It's just people getting an opportunity to see me as opposed to that guy, and with the whole marketing and merchandising behind it. Yeah, and I again, I think if we were to analyze my career, you'd have to say, well, look, he became so famous from television and radio and records. A big gap of not doing that and not being in television, not being on the radio and not making records, and now coming back. It's just an extension of that. And this time, people, I think, honestly can see me as me, and I think they realize I've done enough work and enough time has passed that they don't see me as that guy.
All right, you obviously have pressures of stardom. I'm sure they're a lot different than they were, 15, 20 years ago. Yeah. What kind of pressures do you have to deal with? Or what kind of pressures did you have to deal with?
Well, again, talking about the past, the pressures of stardom are, one, you must give up your anonymity, and that's a big price to pay, losing your own identity when you're the kind of stardom that we were talking about. That unfortunate stigma of being a teen idol, I think, is it's a curse in a way. And I mean, I couldn't get in and out of my driveway. I couldn't get to work. I had people following me home. I still have to maintain a sense of real security for that reason. I mean, it's great to have fans, and it's great to have people care about you, but unfortunately there are some twisted people out there, and I think to talk a lot about that and specifically does nothing but feed it. So I've always avoided that discussion pretty much. But you become a public person, and people feel that, some people do. Most people treat you with respect, and if they like your work, they come up and are polite, and I have all the time in the world for those people. For the people that don't have it in perspective and are slightly twisted about it, they feel like that you belong to them, or that you have some sort of personal bond with them, or a connection with you because you come into their living rooms, or because they buy your record. You owe them something, and that's a difficult one. Obviously, you can't rationalize with an irrational person, and I think it's difficult being the bigger star one is, and the more famous you are. I don't think about it, though, to be honest with you. I don't walk around talking to myself like a star. I'm just a guy who does what I do. This is part of, I guess, an occupational hazard. I really feel very lucky. I feel very fortunate that I'm one of the few people that are now successful making records. I'm going to go out on tour and do, after the new year, the album's only been out a week now. I'm going to take a lot of the nucleus of the band and go out on the road, and I'm sure I'm going to have to deal with a lot more of that kind of pressure, but it's something that I've kind of gotten used to. But I feel real lucky that I can do that. I love what I do. I've been doing it since I was 13, 14 years old. I've got 2 films, as I just mentioned.
That's right, Spirit of 76 and Instant Karma.
Yeah, both are satires, and Spirit of 76 is coming out this week, in fact. I was in Los Angeles last week, and I was making the announcement about the Billboard Tanqueray Sterling Music Video Awards and at a press conference, and it happened to coincide with the day that the film Spirit of 76 opened, which Rob Reiner's brother Lucas directed and wrote, and Francis Coppola's company produced. And it's just opened exclusively in Seattle and in Austin, Texas. And it's a very funny film. I hope that the people had it. We did a screening last week in L.A. and they had to turn 700 people away. So I hope the rest of the country responds the same way. I think it'll be out nationally after the new year, but until then, I'm out here on the road and doing this promotional tour for my album, and I'm about to get set to go back out and tour again.